Welcome back to another episode of Rotten Reviews. On this episode, I'm going to take a look at the 2007 movie Aliens vs. Predator, also known as AVP2. This movie has an 11% on the tomato meter and a 30% on the audience score. It is definitely rotten. I'm not going to pretend like it's not rotten. I'm not going to ask, why is it unfairly being judged as rotten? No, this thing is completely rotten. It comes across as a quick cash grab, a sequel of sorts to Alien vs. Predator, otherwise a sequel in name only, to sell tickets. And it actually mixes not only Alien and Predator, but it also tries to make it into some kind of weird teen slasher movie at the same time, involving face huggers and disgusting portrayals of pregnant women being impregnated by aliens and etc. It is very disgusting. It is R-rated. Funnily enough, it gives fans the R-rated movie that a lot of them wish AVP could have been, and it proves that the R rating is just pointless, and it actually made the movie worse in almost every way. Again, we have almost a teen slasher plot mixed in with this. We have a lot of bad dialogue that comes across as funny in some ways. We have another pointless regurgitation of the get to the chopper line that's not even funny, and it's off-putting. This movie is a complete fail. It's very dark, and in fact, even though the costumes of both the Alien and the Predator are apparently well detailed and expensive, you can't hardly see any of it because they're all shown in silhouette and shadow, and you can literally not see anything at times during this movie. And this is on home video. If you had seen this in the theater, you would probably be confused. A lot of the action would just fly past you because you wouldn't be able to see what was happening at all. Let's move right into the Rotten Reviews. We have, beginning in October 31 of 2019, a 4.5-star review. A simulation of what would occur when a town on Earth literally becomes infested by aliens. Something many fans have probably fantasized about for decades. It would have been quick and boring if it had taken place in an underdeveloped country, so Alien and Predator fans are lucky it was portrayed in Colorado instead. Now, I don't know if this is trying to be sarcastic, but they're saying that the fans are lucky to have seen this take place in a small town in Colorado. No, the fans are actually unlucky. They would have been better served if it had taken place in another isolated environment. The first AVP took place in Antarctica for a reason. This one decided to move the fight into Colorado, but it could be anywhere, small town USA. It makes things incredibly worse, and just from a plot perspective, it would make the writing harder to pull off. The writers were way out of their league on this one, if they even tried, and it's hard to say whether they tried, because you again have corny references to things like the get to the chopper line from the original Predator. It doesn't work. Some of the acting in the intense action drama parts of this comes across as comedic, and it's not intended to be that way. And again, this movie isn't one of those so bad it's good movies that you can drink a few beers and have a good time. No, it's not. This movie doesn't have enough comedy in it to work on that level either, so it's a complete fail. I'm not going to try to say it's anything else. 1.5 stars. Like the first AVP, this was little more than an attempt to cash in on the fandoms to two popular franchises at the same time. This time around, the acting is worse, but they upped the amount of gore and brutality. What you could see of it, considering the poor lighting. Not a classic. I'll say right off the bat that I think this is a half-star movie. Not even 1 star. I'll give it half star because people were employed and paychecks were made doing this. Otherwise, a complete fail. 1 star, on the same level as the original. It doesn't aim to be anything other than a stupid B movie. I'll completely disagree. This is far worse than AVP. This is a sequel in name only. It's a sequel only in that when you see the Predator ship leaving at the end of AVP, this one kind of uses that in which the alien has somehow infected the dead Predator on that ship. The ship crashes in Colorado, and the story continues from there. There's no attempt to explain how that alien got on board or how it infected that predator that's on that ship. But it's only a sequel in that it uses the very end of AVP's plot to start the plot on this one. Otherwise, it's completely different, and this one is a total avoidable mess, and I would recommend avoiding. I would not consider this a sequel. 1.5 stars. It really didn't know what it wanted to be. Half of it was a teen drama reminiscent of the later Nightmare on Elm Streets or Friday the 13th. Any horror connoisseur knows that most of these people are going to die, so care very little about their daily goings-on. The other half is the equivalent of a kid smacking his Alien and Predator action figures together and making sound effects. A dull affair through and through. I'll largely agree on that. Half a star. What the actual hell were they thinking? 1.5 stars. Two of my favorite franchises. This is not a good movie. Cheap, cheesy, money grab. Yeah, exactly. Half a star. Story, plot, action, lighting, tone, atmosphere, characters. Everything about this movie is bad. I still think Alien 3 is worse, but that's also my least favorite movie of all time, so it's hard to beat that. I'll agree completely. I also agree this is half a star. I also agree that perhaps Alien 3 is worse because your expectations of the third Alien installment were so much higher and you got crap. So I'll say the disappointed feeling you got at Alien 3 in the movie theater is far more severe than this would be because, you know, AVP, a sequel to AVP in name, you're not really thinking it's going to be an Aliens 2. So I'll say, yeah, I agree completely with that review. 1.5 stars. I'm sure the Predalien would have been really cool. The fight scenes between xenomorphs and the Predator looked pretty great. It's a shame you couldn't see anything. The movie was so dark there literally wasn't a single shot with the Predalien where you could actually get a good look at it. I wasn't expecting good characters, but these weren't paper thin, they were non-existent. I agree 100%. I don't know if the darkness of the actual Alien and Predator, I don't know if that was a deliberate attempt to cover up bad CGI or bad modeling. It doesn't look like it was because promotional shots from the movie, you can see all the detail and it looks fantastic. And the first movie, AVP, it looked fine. So again, I just don't understand what happened. To me, it's just a fail where they thought having everything in shadow or silhouette would somehow lend some kind of scary horror atmosphere, but it doesn't work. It just comes across as technically incompetent. 2.5 stars. It just doesn't deliver for fans of either Predator or Alien. It's a violent gore fest with no intelligence beyond the storyline. I'm all for a good horror action movie, but this falls way short of the mark. 3.5 stars. I thought the idea of the Predalien was great. Only thing that would make it better would be the lighting. You can barely see the fight between Predator and the Predalien. Let's see, half a star. Wow, just wow. It's some of the most unoriginal and uninspired writing and directing I've ever seen in my life. It lacks anything interesting or good. The movie is insulting to all fans who are actual fans of these franchises. I'll agree, it's a complete shameless ripoff. It is insulting. It's insulting to even the most casual fan of Predator or Alien, no question. 2 stars. Parts of this movie was inspired, and other parts it was meh. I suppose we're supposed to treat this as a schlocky fan film that doesn't have any of the budget of the previous entries. They did their best with it given that they spent $20 million less on it. Its characters were sort of shallow, but it was better than Predator 2's cop drama. It was violently brutal though, which Alien vs. Predator should have been. I would like to give it more praise, but after it's over with, you forget about it. They're saying that they thought this was better than Predator 2. I don't think so. Predator 2 was disappointing, especially if you were expecting more of a direct sequel from Predator. But it was not insulting. It didn't insult you like this one does. This one flat out is a middle finger saying, thanks for the money. Go ahead and walk out if you want, but we got your money. This one's really bad. Half a star, trash, embarrassment to the movies that came before it on both sides. 3 stars, it's a dark movie, yeah. 2.5 stars, a story that had potential but poorly directed and scripted. Average special effects and lighting so dark you don't know what is happening. Xenomorph costumes felt cheap throughout the film, but Predalien and Wolf Predator were surprisingly impressive. great enjoyable action and visible scenes. If gore and kill count, great action, and a poor story interests you, then AVPR will get your money's worth. I'll agree that it's gory, but it's gory in a disgusting way and in an off-putting way, not gory in a comic book exciting way. You'll have to see it to understand, but it's gory in a very offensive way to a lot of people, and I'm all for gore, but this was over the top disgusting and offensive to me, and I'm not queasy at all. Half a star, a bland, badly lit disgrace to two outstanding franchises. 2.5 stars. Geez, this was a total messed up movie because of unnecessary deaths. Well, I'm not saying this was the offensive part. To me, it wasn't. But it was bad at the beginning because you had a kid get infected by a facehugger, and it actually showed the alien bursting out of the little kid's chest, and it was just tasteless. That's offensive to some people, being so focused on a gory death of a kid, because it could have been done in a better way. But to me, the distasteful, disgusting part and offensive part was the pregnant women in the maternity ward. That was just over the top. I don't even want to describe it. It's just offensively disgusting. It doesn't add any tension to the movie. It just grosses you out so much that you can't enjoy anything else after that. So I'll move on. Half a star. Had powerful scene in hospital, and that was it. Yeah, powerfully disgusting. 1.5 star. What happened here? 3.5 stars. I think this movie gets bombed on too much. It is fun and enjoyable. I think you're on a different planet. It's not fun or enjoyable. It's completely stupid and offensive. 1 star. A complete insult to both legendary Alien and Predator franchises, replacing great opportunities with the xenomorph and Yahuda species with some stupid teenage drama and stereotypical scenes, plus the few Alien vs. Predator fight scenes we got to see were barely visible. Disgusting and unexpectedly disappointing, even though it was set to have low expectations to the Alien Predator fans. I'll agree. 3 stars. AVP2 is okay, nice effects, interesting storyline, and why not an alien predator xenomorph? Except in the beginning, there unfortunately is no storyline to the first AVP. I was hoping to see something like the previous actor and a connection to Wayland Corp. Yeah, you're not going to get that. This is a cheap cash grab. It only very, very slightly continues the first AVP. It's a complete cash grab just to get the money. That's it. 2 stars. I think the problem with this film is if you're going to add on to AVP, just don't. Aliens, good movies. Predator, good movies, but not together. Well, you could have made that case for AVP, but it worked. It was 2 stars and it worked. This one's just a straight up cash grab. It's a shameless, insulting cash grab. I'll say it again. 4 stars. I loved both AVPs. This was, I think, a good take on how would modern day people with modern day tech would deal with the aliens. The hybrid was pretty fierce and the baby scene pretty freakish, besides some almost par acting and female hero great. I completely disagree. This was completely disgusting and it was a mess. I don't know, your standards are so way out there. 0.5 star. What the F was this? This pointless sequel attempted to tarnish the legacies of both the Alien and Predator franchises. The scenes in the night are so dark that it's impossible to see the action sequences. I agree. You can't see anything. You deliberately, almost deliberately, cannot see anything of the Alien or Predator other than their silhouettes. 3.5 stars. Damn good directing, great choreography, amazing set and costume design, well paced, and a huge step up from the garbage PG-13 AVP. This movie has gore, action, and suspense. It showed everything the aliens and predators are. My only issues are the lack of well thought out characters, dialogue, and the whole fact that it's really hard to see. Otherwise, a fantastic movie. See, I don't know what they're talking about here. It's like they're praising it, then you think it's sarcasm, and they're bagging on it. It's doing both. I don't know what to think if they're not just a troll. 1.5 stars. Shadows versus silhouettes, because the fight scenes are so dark you can't see them fight. 100% agree. 0.5 star. After the tolerable Alien versus Predator film was released, I was praying that something would come along to vindicate the dying Alien franchise. After seeing this film, I was not only depressed, but angered by this movie. In fact, I own every Alien film on DVD except for this very movie. The clear problem is that there is no threat with the aliens at all. They are easily killed, and tons of people see them and survive. The Predator is clearly the hero, as he can fight two aliens with his bare hands. Well, they're giving it half a star because they're just bagging on the logic in the Predator-Alien battle. That's the least of this movie's problems. No one, I wouldn't even critique this because this is like not even an issue when you can't see what's going on to begin with. 2 stars, the nostalgia basically. 1 star, lousy filmmaking and pointless, couldn't finish the whole thing. 1.5 stars, fast-paced and somewhat exciting with a basic yet fun premise. Also, it's terrible. Bad dialogue, bad acting, bad action scenes, bad editing, bad lighting. Seriously, you can barely see anything in half the scenes. The screen is 95% black. Lots of dumb stuff and plot points that go nowhere. Even when I turned off my brain to try to enjoy a stupid movie, it wasn't enjoyable. Super predictable. 1 viewing, possibly 2, might have completely forgotten it. Spoilers, like the asshole ex-boyfriend who fights the main dude. I don't even think this deserves 1.5 stars. I don't know how you could sit through this a second time. If you fell asleep on the first watching, consider yourself lucky and just throw this puppy away. Trade it to somebody for something else. Please don't put yourself through this twice. 5 stars. Wolf Predator is the best Predator ever. I'm glad Predalien is in battle. The action is good. Wow. Again, if you just like to slam action figures together and call it a movie, then great. 1.5 stars. Well, the whole movie is just a compilation of aliens and a predator slaughtering people. The movie not even tries to build up tension like in its prequel. Just random shots of these man in a costume monster killing people. The characters are really just bad. You don't care whatever the hell happens to them. They initially try to make some backstory, but when the movie gets to the second stage, it really doesn't seem to matter. Unlike its prequel, it doesn't give a damn about the lore. Yeah, it's just a cash grab. It's just a ridiculous cash grab. 2 stars. Requiem is the right word. They are killing the love for both these amazing creatures. Yeah, maybe they're making fun of themselves on the title, Requiem, like they're erecting a tombstone to the Alien and Predator franchises. They very well might have meant it in that way. 1 star. Could one of these movies be acted more poorly? Oh, and it doesn't add anything new to either franchise. No, it actually just embarrasses both of them. 2 stars. This is a bad movie. You know a movie stinks when even the subpar Alien vs. Predator seems like a masterpiece juxtaposed with it. For one thing, everything is so dark you cannot even see anything at all. The fight sequences, the only reason to even bother with this film, are badly staged. And what is worse is that there is no coherence to the script. The actors, if one can call them that, are paper cutouts, and the best you can do with them as an audience is to place bets on who dies first. At least the original AVP had some characters, maybe. Yeah, this is like, if you took like maybe characters from Nightmare on Elm Street and threw them in here, it would probably improve it because even just like as a teenage slasher film, those type of films have a lot more going on with them. They have more suspense. They have more characterization. This is like taking the worst parts of a teenage slasher movie and combining it with Alien versus Predator in a very disgusting way. 1 star. Movie sucks ass, but the Predator is all right. Half a star. Unlike AVP, which I actually think is kind of underrated, this movie is an unholy abortion of a film. Literally in a lot of senses here. To add insult to injury, the filmmakers forgot to turn on the set lights. Probably hoped people wouldn't notice the garbage they put on screen. I only gave a half star because it features a predator and because the filmmakers felt that it was a good idea, it wasn't, to have the hybrid creature eat a room full of babies. Yeah, that's kind of what happens, but actually just describing it in that way doesn't do it justice. It's more disgusting than that. Half a star. What's impressive is that they somehow managed to make a movie worse than the original. Half a star. A complete and utter abomination. One of the worst movies ever made. I'll agree in this case. It's one of the worst ever made that had a real studio, and it's a complete abomination. Half a star. Boring and dull in color, and just has the worst story, as the directors obviously had no idea what they were doing. It's like a dumb slasher movie with aliens and predators that somehow manages to be worse than the first. 5 stars. A grim, dirty, and gritty look into the franchise, but still a great movie in my opinion. Wow, that's from 2018. It's hard to believe that person is actually real and not some kind of disembodied bot. Uh, I don't know. 3 stars. As a die-hard fan of both franchises, I feel like this movie, story-wise, got in better with both universes. Acting wasn't terrible, but the god-awful lighting makes whatever is happening in the screen almost pointless, since you can't actually see anything. 1 star. This movie is one of the worst movies about an alien and a predator, but it certainly wasn't such a disappointment as the previous part from 2004. The film has many drawbacks, but the biggest are the characters who are so poorly written. At least there was a fight between the alien and predator. You're giving it 1 star, and you're saying that it's worse than the AVP from 2004? Sorry, no. 1 star. This is a bad movie. You know a movie stinks when even the subpar Alien vs. Predator seems like a masterpiece. I've read this before. We're getting duplicates now. 1 star. A complete waste of time. Maybe one of the worst films I've ever seen. The premise is interesting, probably what got me to watch in the first place, but the movie has abysmal writing, acting, directing, and was literally impossible to see what was going on in many parts. Shame on the producers for allowing this abortion of a film to make it to the screen. Yeah, the producers just wanted a cash grab. They knew what it was. They just put enough effort to get the money, to get the cash. A complete waste of time, I agree. The only interesting premise they were teasing was that you would see aliens along with facehuggers on Earth in a modern Earth setting. They just teased that to get you to give them the money, and that's all they wanted to do. 1 star. This is a bad movie. Yeah, you repeated yourself. 2 stars. An okay film, poor compared to the first one. That's an understatement. 1 star. Apart from the final action scene, this movie is dull, poorly written and acted, and makes no sense regarding the Alien Predator universe lore. Yeah. Half a star. Requiem sucks. 0 stars if this app allows me. No, it doesn't allow you 0. People did get paid. At least the producers got paid. So, yeah, half a star. 2 stars. If you are looking for an action movie as pointless as each Fast and the Furious reboot, then this is the perfect movie for you. The action is pretty good throughout. The characters are made purposely to be xenofood, and Huda cannon fodder, definitely rotten. You're actually trying to compare this to the Fast and Furious franchise. You can take the worst of those films, and that's a masterpiece compared to this. Come on now. 1.5 stars. If you are looking for a film with terrible acting, cringy dialogue, badly shot action, bad special effects, and grainy footage, this is the movie for you. 1 star. Another classic franchise burnt to a crisp. The whole point of the real Alien movies was to make sure the alien organism never reached Earth, but these two clowns who wrote this and claimed to be life fans of the franchise decided it would be a good idea to have them run around a hick town in modern-day Denver, attacking sheriffs, school jocks, class chicks, convicts, pizza delivery guys, pregnant women, and Doris the donkey. Seriously, who thinks this stuff up? Well, a pair of Muppets do, apparently. Yeah, that's pretty bad if, in fact, the the directors of this movie were supposedly lifelong fans of the Alien films. Then, the lure of the cash grab was too powerful, and they burned it all down to get that cash. 1.5 stars. The weakest movie in either one of the franchises, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, has good special effects, and some of the action is still serviceable, but they're weighed down by poor lighting, one-dimensional characters not worth caring about, and wasting the potential of the Predators, or Predalien. Beyond the Predalien, it's barely even a sequel to the last movie. AVPR is mostly nothing more than a slasher movie with action sequences. Good thing this movie ain't canon. Though there is a small Easter egg, yeah. The only Easter egg I know of is like get to the chopper. We saw that again later in The Predator. It's been done badly every time. They need to just stop. 5 stars. This movie, in my opinion, is one of my favorite movies in the Alien franchise. This isn't actually in the Alien franchise, so no on just that level. 1 star. Again, this movie was made only with profit in mind, but it does the unexpected. It's actually worse than the first one. Another gore-riddled movie to catch the eye and shock people. It's an even bigger insult to both franchises than the first, especially because of the horrible Alien Predator hybrid trash. I agree. Half a star, actually worse, some feet. 3 stars. I think this movie is more entertaining than the first movie, but I would rather watch the first movie more because you can see everything and it's not dark. I hope they re-release this movie with better lighting since the movie is almost 10 years old. 3 stars. Well, first off, any movie, I don't care what the genre, if you can't see what's going on, it's already a half a star because you failed just on the filmmaking level, not anything else. It's like as if a writer didn't know how to pick up a pen and actually scribble a word. It's that level of fail. Forget the story and the plot. Half a star. That was crap. Picking up when the first one left off, you have one predator versus a crap ton of aliens, but it's the humans who win this fight. Crap ton of characters and you don't care about any of them. No mythos explored in this one, just a gore fest. 2 stars. I slept through most of this movie, but it was like a long series of micro nods, so I was convincing myself that I was actually watching it and it was kind of good. I'll agree with that. I've encountered movies like that, where it's like you fall asleep many times, but they're micro lapses, so you actually skip boring parts of the plot and think that you saw something passable. 1 star. AVPR is another step down for both franchises, which features awful dialogue and performances and some of the worst lighting ever put into a film. Well, the positive point is it's actually not part of each franchise. This literally is not part of either franchise. This is a comic book franchise of its own and a disgustingly bad, sloppy made part of that comic book franchise. 2 stars. AVP2 is just plain stupid. The stupidity brings some fun to the movie, but it's kind of hard to see the fun. Literally, I couldn't see a thing in this movie. This movie is just so dark. The plot is pretty dumb too. It continues off of the first awful AVP movie and continues to be just as bad. The characters are stupid too. A cop helps teens break into a gun store to steal guns. Seriously, what were people thinking? This script is so bad, but the people behind it can't see that. They see a compelling movie. I don't think so. I think they just saw the cash. They knew what they had. 1 star. Really, really bad, forgettable movie and sequel starring who knows and who cares, because this is a really bad, cheesy movie that just should never have been made. If you didn't know me, well, of course you're not supposed to, but I hate every Alien and Predator movie, including the first movie to this, the first Predator versus Alien movie. Now you're wondering, why do you hate every Alien and Predator movie? You know why. Because I thought they were all boring, because you saw the Alien or Predator 15 minutes. Okay, so they're not even fans of the original Alien and Predator movies, so okay. 1.5 stars. The good news, unlike the toothless AVP, this one is rated R. The bad news, the film is so dimly lit and the editing so choppy that you can't really see what the hell is happening, ever. Every scene is at night, or in a sewer, or in a forest at dusk. Not the wisest move to set the last 40 minutes of the film at night in the rain during a blackout. Overall, a dull and murky slog. Yeah, they probably didn't have the money to actually make the effects work on the costuming. So, this is their way of hiding it. Half a star. The action is nauseating, the action is atrocious, and most of all, it is a totally uninteresting affair. The only perk it has over the original is the fact that it was granted an R rating, so it could go full throttle with its insanity. AVPR even screws that up with minimal gore that looks pedestrian. After watching it, you'll realize that its rating is mostly for the obnoxious overuse of the F word, a total waste of opportunity, and an overall waste of time. Say what you will about Prometheus or Alien Covenant, yeah, but they're better than this, guaranteed. Half a star. The best part when you see boobs, the rest is not worth it. I'm not even sure that we see boobs in this, but okay. 2 stars. Worst alien or predator related film. Essentially, there's no script, therefore, AVPR is a slow, dull, repetitive mishmash of uninteresting characters, filler sequences, and the same basic action scenes over and over again. There are some redeeming qualities, example, 2 or 3 awesome deaths, but there's just no gravity to the clash of the two monsters. AVPR is not too bad for a second-rate monster movie, but there's simply no comparison to even the weakest of the franchise's previous moments. Again, they're being too kind, and they're using a lot of words to be too kind. Half a star. Alien vs. Predator Requiem is one of the worst, if not the worst movies I've seen. I think I've read that, or yeah, I think I have read that before. 1 star. Empty tributes and inept shooting make this an embarrassing film for everyone involved. Yes. Half a star. To compare AVP Requiem to crappy fan fiction does a disservice to crappy fan fiction. This is a scareless, careless, and cynical movie that's embarrassed of its own existence, as we are annoyed of it. The predators are boring, the aliens are laughable, and the humans are robotic. Worst of all, it's mean-spirited and hateful with no thrill or point. It regularly kills off random good people in the most cruel of fashions, and the get-to-the-chopper moment, holy moly, Schwarzenegger must be rolling in his grave. Wait, yeah, he's not there yet, but he probably will be rolling in it. I'll leave it at that. This movie is insulting. It was hard to get through it, but I had to do my duty. 30% audience score. It should be like a 2% audience score. Really, I'm not kidding on this one. And I'm going to run away from this as fast as I can, and I'm going to see you on the next Rotten Reviews.